I've been sitting on this story for a while, trying to figure out the best way to explain this mess. But I guess I should start with introductions. I'm Ethan, 33 years old, single, and I run my own plumbing business. Yeah, I know according to some people, including my family, that's not exactly a prestigious career. But honestly, I make great money, I love what I do, and there's something genuinely satisfying about fixing problems and helping people, even if it means dealing with their literal crap sometimes. My younger sister, Lauren, is 25 and in law school. And here's the kicker, I've been the one paying for it. Full tuition, every semester, no questions asked. You'd think that kind of generosity would earn me some respect, right? Wrong. Lauren has been dating this guy, Andrew. He's a doctor, big shot, works at a top hospital, and the way my sister talks about him, you'd think he walks on water. I'd never met the guy, though, which I now realize wasn't an accident. A week before Christmas, I got a call from my mom. Now, let me be clear, my mom never calls just to check in or see how I'm doing. If she's calling, it means she wants something or there's some family crisis that, more often than not, involves money. But this call? This one was different. She started with this weird, hesitant tone, like she was about to break bad news to me. Then she just said it. Ethan, we think it might be best if you sit out Christmas this year. Just like that. No discussion, no warning. At first, I thought I misheard her. Maybe she meant the date had changed or they were doing something small this year. But nope, she doubled down. We just want to keep things comfortable for everyone, she said. That's when the sinking feeling hit. I pressed her for a straight answer, but she kept dodging the question, talking in circles about professional appearances and considering everyone's comfort. She wouldn't just say what the issue was. A few hours later, I got the real story from my cousin, Katie. She overheard Lauren talking to our parents earlier that week. Apparently, my dear sister had told them that having me at Christmas would be uncomfortable because I didn't fit in with the kind of image she wanted to present to Andrew and his family. Let that sink in for a second. The sister whose entire law school education I'd been funding tens of thousands of dollars was embarrassed by me because I'm just a plumber, because I don't wear a suit and tie to work, because she was worried what her fancy doctor boyfriend might think if he had to sit at the same table as someone who works with his hands. The more I thought about it, the more things started clicking into place. Lauren never invited me to any of her law school events, despite the fact that I was the one paying for her to be there. She avoided mentioning my job when talking about me to her friends. And, most telling of all, she had never once introduced me to Andrew. And the worst part? My parents agreed with her. They actually thought it was reasonable to exclude me from Christmas so that Lauren wouldn't feel uncomfortable introducing her blue-collar brother to her white-collar boyfriend, the same brother who had been financially supporting the family since he was 18. The same brother who built his own successful business from the ground up. The same brother who had been paying for their golden child's law school tuition without complaint. My mom tried to sugarcoat it. You know how these professional circles are, honey. Maybe next year when you've developed your career more, developed my career more. I run a thriving business. I have employees. I make 6 figures. But because I don't sit at a desk pushing papers, I apparently haven't developed enough for their standards. I sat with this information all day, growing more pissed off, not in an explosive, yelling kind of way, but that cold, unsettling anger that makes you see things with absolute clarity. That's when I made a decision. If I was too embarrassing to be at Christmas dinner, then my money should be too embarrassing to pay for law school. I mean, imagine how it would look if Lauren's fancy lawyer career was funded by her lowly plumber brother. But hold on, this was just the beginning. The real fun started when I actually did something about it. And let me tell you, karma is a beautiful thing. After finding out I was too embarrassing to be at Christmas, the first spent the rest of the day sitting with that cold realization. My sister, the one I'd been financially supporting through law school, was ashamed of me. My parents, who I had helped for years, thought it was completely reasonable to exclude me because my job wasn't prestigious enough. I kept going over every moment that suddenly made sense in hindsight. Lauren never introducing me to her boyfriend, never inviting me to her law school events, never acknowledging how she was even able to afford tuition. It wasn't an accident. It was a pattern. But you know what? If I wasn't good enough to sit at Christmas dinner, then my money shouldn't be good enough to pay for her degree. I wasn't going to just lash out with some angry text. That's what my family did. They guilt-tripped, they manipulated, they made things my fault. No, if I was going to cut off the money, I needed to do it in a way that left no room for them to spin the story. Lauren's next tuition payment was due in 2 weeks. She always got nervous around this time, subtly dropping reminders like, "Hey, just making sure you got that email from the school." But this time, silence. I guess she assumed I'd just pay it. Same as always, even after they uninvited me from Christmas. I logged into the tuition portal because, of course, Lauren had me paying the school directly. It was all set up for maximum convenience. For her, $21,500 for 1 semester. I stared at that number for a long time. Do you know how many hours of work, how many emergency calls, how much literal shit I had to deal with to make that kind of money? And I was doing it for someone who wouldn't even admit I existed to her boyfriend's family. I picked up my phone and called her. Not texted, called. I wanted to hear her reaction when she realized what was coming. She picked up on the 3rd ring, sounding annoyed, like I was interrupting something important. "Hey," she said, all casual. "What's up?" I kept my tone light. "Just wanted to check in about your tuition payment. It's due soon, right?" Instant shift. Suddenly, her voice was all sweet and interested. "Oh, yeah, thanks for remembering. It's due on the 15th. You're still good to cover it, right?" I let that hang in the air for a second before answering. "Actually, I've been thinking about what you told Mom and Dad about Christmas. About how having a plumber for a brother might embarrass you in front of Andrew's family." Silence. Dead, suffocating silence. When she finally spoke, she sounded like she was scrambling for a way to spin it. Who told you that? Does it matter?" I asked. "Is it true?" More silence. Then she started damage control. "Listen, you don't understand. Andrew's family is very particular about these things. His dad's a judge, his mom's on charity boards. Just what?" I cut in. "Decided to pretend I didn't exist? That's not fair," she protested. "I never said that. I need them to take me seriously if I want to have a future in law. You know how these circles work." I laughed. Actually laughed. "I don't know how these circles work, Lauren. I'm just a plumber, remember?" She started to respond, but I wasn't done. "But you know what I do know? Exactly how much I've paid for your law school so far. Want me to break it down for you?" She didn't answer, so I kept going. "First year, $43,000. Second year, first semester, another $21,500. Plus your laptop, textbooks, that special prep course you said you needed. In total, that's about $77,000. I let that number settle. All paid for by your embarrassing brother." She made this choked, whining sound. "Why are you doing this? You mean standing up for myself?" I shot back. "You promised to help me," she snapped. "You said you'd support my dreams." "Yeah," I said, my voice eerily calm. "When you were proud to call me your brother. But if I'm too embarrassing to have at Christmas dinner, then I guess my money's too embarrassing to pay for your tuition." The noise that came out of her mouth was somewhere between a gasp and a screech. "You can't do that! The payment's due in 2 weeks. What am I supposed to do?" I shrugged. "Maybe ask Andrew. Or is my dirty plumber money the only kind you're willing to touch?" That's when the tears started. The full sob routine. "Please, Ethan," she begged. "I'll tell Mom and Dad I was wrong. You can come to Christmas, just please don't do this to me." I shook my head. "I don't want to come to Christmas, Lauren. I don't want to embarrass you in front of Andrew's family. In fact, I don't want anything to do with any of you anymore. Consider this my last payment to the family that's ashamed of me." And then I hung up, blocked her number. Then I poured myself a drink and waited for the shitstorm I knew was coming. The first call came from my mom, 5 times in a row before I finally picked up. The second I answered, she launched into full guilt trip mode. "Ethan, you're destroying this family. You're ruining your sister's future over a silly misunderstanding." I let out a slow breath. "A misunderstanding?" I repeated. "She literally told you she was embarrassed by my job." "She didn't mean it like that," Mom cried. "You know how she is. She just gets caught up in trying to impress people sometimes." "She looks up to you." I nearly choked on my drink. "She looks up to me?" I repeated. "She got me banned from Christmas because she's ashamed of me. How the hell is that looking up to me?" Then she switched tactics. "Think about what this will do to her relationship with Andrew. His family could really help her career." I laughed. "Oh, now Andrew's family is important. Funny how they matter more than your own son." She kept blubbering about how I was being too harsh, too emotional. Then my dad called. His approach was different. "What the hell is wrong with you?" he barked. "You're being selfish and vindictive." "Family supports family," I exhaled through my nose. "You mean like when you supported me by agreeing to exclude me from Christmas?" Silence. Then he growled, "Sometimes we have to make sacrifices for the greater good of the family." I scoffed. "Yeah? And sometimes we have to stop letting people walk all over us." The next few days were a circus. My aunts, uncles, cousins, everyone had an opinion on why I was wrong. But funny thing, not one of them offered to help pay Lauren's tuition. And the best part? Lauren finally told Andrew the truth, and that's when her life really started to fall apart. For a couple of days, things were quiet, too quiet. Lauren had gone radio silent, which was unusual because she was usually relentless when she wanted something. But I wasn't stupid. I knew this was just the calm before the storm. And then, it happened. My cousin Katie, the one who first told me about Lauren's little Christmas scheme, messaged me with a simple, "Dude, it's happening." Attached were screenshots of the family group chat, the one they'd removed me from. Lauren had finally told Andrew the truth, or at least her version of the truth. She spun it like I was some bitter, jealous brother who was suddenly refusing to pay for her tuition out of spite. She claimed I was punishing her for a misunderstanding and ruining her future over something that didn't even matter. But Andrew, he wasn't buying it. In the screenshots, I saw him ask, point blank, "Wait, you never told me your brother was paying for your law school?" Lauren tried to spin it, saying it wasn't a big deal. He offered. He wanted to help me. And then came the best part. "Then why have I never met him?" Andrew asked. "Why do you always avoid talking about him?" That's when she really started scrambling. She kept saying things about how professional circles worked, how she didn't want to risk making a bad impression, and how Andrew's parents had high standards. And then, the real kicker. Andrew wasn't even the problem. Turns out, his uncle, the one who built their family home, was a contractor who had started out as a plumber. Andrew had even worked summers with him in high school. So not only had Lauren lied about why she kept me hidden, but she had completely misjudged the situation. Andrew's next message hit hard. "You hid your own brother, the person paying for your education, because you assumed my family would judge you for it." Lauren, that's messed up. Lauren panicked. She backtracked. She tried blaming our parents, saying they agreed it was for the best. But the damage was done. Andrew told her he needed space to think. And for Lauren, that was code red. The second I saw those messages, I knew my phone was about to blow up. Sure enough, my mom called. I let it ring. Then my dad. Ignored. Then Lauren, from a random number. Blocked. I wasn't dealing with this. I was done. But Lauren, she wasn't done with me. Because the next day, she showed up at my workplace. It was around noon when I got the warning. A text from Katie, 911. "Lauren just posted on Facebook that she's going to make you face what you've done. She's heading to your shop. Good luck." Fantastic. I barely had time to tell my crew before the front door slammed open. There she was. Hair a mess, makeup smudged, looking like she hadn't slept. And she was livid. "How dare you do this to me?" She screeched right in the middle of my shop. "I'm your sister. You're supposed to take care of me." Heads turned. My employees, my customers, everyone stopped to watch the show. I stayed behind the counter, arms crossed. "You need to leave, Lauren. Not until you fix this," she shrieked. "You ruined my life over nothing." One of my regulars, an older woman named Miss S. Harrison, raised an eyebrow. "Young lady," she said, "is this the brother who's been paying for your education?" Lauren froze. "That's none of your business," she snapped. Miss S. Harrison folded her arms. "Well, you made it everyone's business by barging in here screaming." She turned to me. "Ethan, is it true? You were paying for her law school?" I nodded. She whistled. "And she got you banned from Christmas because she was embarrassed by your job?" Lauren went pale. "That's not what happened," she insisted. "He's punishing me. He's jealous of my success." I actually laughed. "What success, Lauren?" I asked. "The success of getting dumped? The success of maybe having to drop out of law school? The success of making a fool of yourself in front of my employees?" She clenched her fists. "At least I'm trying to be something," she spat. "Not just playing with pipes all day like some." She stopped herself, but it was too late. My lead employee, Mike, a big guy who'd been with me since I started the business, stepped forward. "Ma'am," he said in a low voice, "I think you should leave." Lauren turned red. "You don't get it," she shouted. "He's trying to ruin my future." Mike shook his head. Your brother's playing with pipes has put food on my table for 5 years, paid for my kids' braces, bought my wife a car. And from what I hear, it's been paying for your law school too. Lauren looked around. Everyone in the shop was staring at her. She wasn't getting the reaction she wanted, so she did what she always did. She switched tactics. Fine, she hissed. If you won't help me, I'll make sure everyone knows what kind of brother you really are. I tilted my head. Oh? I'll post about this all over social media, she threatened. I'll tell everyone how you abandoned your own sister. I cut her off. Go ahead, she blinked. I leaned forward, lowering my voice. Make sure you include the part where you got me banned from Christmas because you were ashamed of my job, but still expected me to pay your tuition. She opened her mouth, closed it. Then, humiliated, she stormed out, not before kicking over our sign and clipboard and knocking a stack of business cards onto the floor. Real mature. The second she was gone, Miss S. Harrison let out a low whistle. You did the right thing, honey, she said, patting my arm. Sometimes family has to learn the hard way that respect is a two-way street. I exhaled. Mike shook his head. Damn, boss. My family drama seems boring compared to yours. We laughed, but I knew this wasn't over. Lauren wasn't done yet, because the next morning, my phone was filled with missed calls. She'd gone nuclear, calling every single family member, telling them I was destroying her life. But the best part? Not one of them offered to pay her tuition. And just when I thought things couldn't get better, Lauren made one final, desperate move. And it backfired spectacularly. After the scene at my shop, I thought Lauren might back off. Maybe she'd finally get the message that I was done being used. But no. Instead, she did what she always did, doubled down and made it everyone else's problem. By the next morning, my phone was a war zone. I had missed calls from my parents, my aunts, uncles, cousins, everyone. All of them had suddenly decided it was their business to tell me what a terrible brother I was for cutting Lauren off. Of course, not one of them offered to pay her tuition. The first call I answered was from my mom. Huge mistake. Ethan, she sobbed the second I picked up. Do you know what you've done? Lauren is devastated. She can't sleep, she can't eat, I cut in. She can't pay tuition. Silence. Then she sniffled dramatically. This is serious. She's going to have to drop out. She'll lose everything she's worked for. I exhaled through my nose. You mean everything I paid for? She's your sister, Mom wailed. You're supposed to help her. She uninvited me from Christmas because she was ashamed of me, I reminded her. But she wasn't ashamed of my money, was she? More silence. Then, the guilt trip. Ethan, family is about forgiveness, Mom whispered. Don't let your pride ruin your relationship with your sister. I let out a slow, deliberate breath. You want to talk about pride? I asked. You didn't care about my pride when you agreed to uninvite me from Christmas. You didn't care about my feelings when you let Lauren treat me like I was beneath her. You only care now because the money's gone, Mom stammered. Tried to backpedal, but I wasn't playing along. She needs to figure it out, Mom, I said flatly. She's an adult. She made her choices. Now she can deal with the consequences. Then I hung up, blocked her number. Blocked my dad's too, since I knew he'd just try the angry approach again. But Lauren? She wasn't done yet. That night, Katie sent me another message. Lauren just showed up at Andrew's house. Uninvited. I blinked at my screen. You're joking. I wish. Turns out, after getting nowhere with me, Lauren went for a Hail Mary. She showed up at Andrew's parents' house, crying, begging, spinning some sob story about how she was about to lose everything and needed help. What she didn't do? Mention the part where she'd hidden her brother because she thought he was an embarrassment. Unfortunately for her, Andrew was there, and he wasn't about to let her lie to his parents. Katie sent me the play-by-play from the family chat. Andrew told them everything. Told them how I had paid for Lauren's law school from day one, how she had deliberately excluded me from her life because she was embarrassed by my job, how she got me banned from Christmas to maintain her little illusion. His dad, a judge, by the way, was not impressed. Young lady, he reportedly told her, if you're trying to be a lawyer, you should know that attempting to manipulate people by telling half-truths is not a good start to your career. Lauren burst into tears, but it didn't work. Andrew's parents basically told her they wouldn't be helping her financially. Andrew, meanwhile, told her that he needed time to think about their relationship. Translation, he was done. And just like that, Lauren's entire plan fell apart. By the time she got home, the panic had officially set in. She tried everything: emergency loans, begging my parents for help, even looking into private student loans. But she ran into a huge problem. She needed a cosigner. And guess what? My parents' credit was garbage. All those years of living beyond their means finally caught up to them. Nobody else in the family was willing to co-sign either, not after hearing how she treated me. Even my grandmother, who usually defended Lauren no matter what, had finally had enough. She told my parents they should be ashamed of themselves for raising a daughter who was so entitled. So now, Lauren was out of options, and with tuition due in less than a week, she was desperate. That's when she did something I never saw coming. She showed up at my apartment. I was getting ready for bed when I heard the knock, checked the peephole, saw her standing there, shivering, puffy-eyed, looking completely wrecked. For a second, I considered ignoring her, but then I sighed and opened the door. "What do you want, Lauren?" She launched into it immediately. "Ethan, please. I'm sorry. I was wrong. I shouldn't have treated you like that, please. I can't pay for school. I have nothing left. I don't know what to do." I held up a hand. "You don't know what to do?" I repeated. "You mean besides getting a job?" She flinched. "Ethan," she whispered, "please. You're my big brother. You're supposed to help me." I crossed my arms. "And what about you, Lauren? Were you supposed to help me? Or were you just supposed to use me?" She started crying harder. "I'll change, I swear. I'll make it up to you, just please. Help me finish school. I'm begging you." I took a slow breath. Then I said the words that sealed her fate. "No." She stopped crying instantly, like she couldn't believe I actually said it. "What? No," I repeated. "I'm done." "You made your bed, Lauren. Now you get to lie in it." She stood there, stunned. Then her face twisted in rage. "You'll regret this," she spat. "I'll tell everyone you're a monster. I'll ruin your reputation. I just laughed. "Go ahead," I said. "Tell everyone how your plumber brother paid for your law school while you pretended he didn't exist. Let me know how much sympathy that gets you." Her mouth opened, closed. Then she stormed off. That was the last time I saw her, because 3 days later, she officially dropped out of law school. My parents tried to guilt-trip me one more time, begged me to reconsider, told me I was destroying my sister's future. But by then, I had zero patience left. "You mean she destroyed her own future?" I corrected. "All I did was stop funding it. And then I blocked them too. And for the first time in years, I felt free. After Lauren showed up at my apartment, I figured she'd try one last Hail Mary attempt to guilt-trip me. I was right. The next day, my cousin Katie sent me another text. "Dude, your sister just went nuclear." Attached were screenshots from Facebook. Lauren had gone full public meltdown mode. She wrote this long, dramatic post about how some people turn their backs on family and how she was being forced to drop out of law school because of selfishness and betrayal. She never mentioned my name, but everyone knew. The comments were a mix of sympathy and brutal reality checks. A few of her law school friends were supportive, dropping the usual "you'll get through this," "girl," and "you're too smart to let this stop you" comments. But then, people started asking questions. "Wait, weren't your parents paying for law school? How did this even happen? I thought you had everything covered." That's when the truth came out. Someone, probably Katie, because, let's be honest, she loves a good mess, dropped a comment that said her brother was paying for everything, but she got him banned from Christmas because she was embarrassed by his job. Then he cut her off. And that was it. The internet did what it does best. People turned on her. "Wait, so you were fine taking his money, but he wasn't good enough to be at Christmas?" This is why student debt exists. Because entitled people think family is an ATM. Actions have consequences. You treated him like garbage, and now you're mad he doesn't want to pay? Girl, please. Lauren deleted the post, but the damage was done. That same night, I got another call from my mom. I had blocked her number, but she left a voicemail. I debated deleting it without listening, but curiosity won. "Ethan," she said, her voice tired, defeated. "Lauren dropped out today. She's broken. She won't talk to anyone. She hasn't eaten. She says her life is over. And, Ethan, I just don't understand how you could do this to your own sister." I exhaled through my nose. There it was. Not how Lauren had done this to herself, Not how they had all treated me like garbage, just me being the bad guy. I deleted the voicemail, blocked her number again. Then I poured myself a drink and slept like a baby. The next few weeks were quiet. No calls, no messages, no surprise visits. Lauren was officially off the radar. Katie kept me updated though. Apparently, after she dropped out, she stayed with my parents for a while, completely falling apart. But the sympathy didn't last, because as much as my parents wanted to keep blaming me, there was one problem. They were broke. And now, they had a fully grown, unemployed daughter living with them. My dad, who had spent the last year defending Lauren's every decision, finally snapped. "You need to get a job," he told her one morning. "And Lauren?" She lost her mind. "I'm not working some stupid minimum wage job," she screamed. "I was supposed to be a lawyer. I deserve better than that." And that was the moment my parents finally understood what they had created, because even they couldn't defend her anymore. A month later, I got an unexpected text from Andrew. Yeah, her ex. It was short and to the point. "Hey man, just wanted to say I respect the hell out of you for how you handled everything. Hope you're doing good." I stared at it for a second. Then I smiled. Typed back, "Appreciate that, man. Hope you dodged a bullet." He responded with one word, "Definitely." Meanwhile, Lauren had finally caved. After burning through the last of her savings, she was forced to get a job. Not a fancy legal internship. Not a cushy office position. Nope. She ended up working as a paralegal at some tiny law firm. According to Katie, she told everyone it was temporary, that she was just waiting for the right opportunity to go back to school. But we all knew the truth. She wasn't going back. She had no savings, no support, no options. She had killed her own future with her entitlement. And for the first time in years, that was not my problem. A few months later, my parents tried one last reconciliation attempt. They invited me over for Thanksgiving. I declined. "Maybe you should ask your successful lawyer daughter for help," I said. "Oh, wait," Mom sniffled. Dad grumbled. I didn't care. Because for the first time in my entire life, I wasn't walking on eggshells. I wasn't being used. I wasn't anyone's ATM. I was just me. And that felt pretty damn good. The months after everything went down felt weirdly peaceful. No more phone calls. No more guilt trips. No more being treated like a walking ATM, while my own family pretended I didn't exist. I finally had silence, and I liked it. Lauren was officially out of law school, struggling to get by as a paralegal in some small firm. My parents had stopped calling, though I heard through the grapevine that things weren't great on their end either. Turns out, losing their golden child's meal ticket had put a strain on their already messy finances. Not that it was my problem anymore. For the first time in years, I was focused on myself. My business was doing better than ever. I expanded, hired more employees, even added 2 more trucks to my fleet. And the best part, I was finally keeping my own money. No more sacrificing my future for people who had no respect for me. No more pretending. Just me, my business, and the people who actually gave a damn about me. A few months later, I ran into Andrew. I was grabbing a drink with some friends when I saw him at the bar. He noticed me, nodded, then walked over. "Hey man," he said, holding out a hand. "How's business?" I shook his hand, smirking. "Thriving. You?" He laughed. "Doing good. Still at the hospital. No crazy family drama though, so that's a plus." We both knew exactly what he meant. After a second, he sighed. "I never told you this, but I dodged a serious bullet with Lauren." I took a sip of my drink. "Yeah?" He nodded. "Dude, after everything came out, I realized how much she cared about appearances. About status. She didn't want a partner, she wanted a trophy. Someone to impress her friends. I would have been miserable." I grinned, glad I could help. He laughed, shook his head, and raised his glass. "To freedom." We clinked glasses, and just like that, the last loose end tied itself up. As time passed, Lauren faded into the background. She kept telling people she was going back to law school soon, but everyone knew that wasn't happening. She had no money, no support, and no way out. And me, I was happier than I'd ever been. No more forced family gatherings. No more being made to feel like I wasn't enough because I didn't wear a suit and tie to work. No more being the guy who gave everything and got nothing in return. I was done. And I didn't regret it for a second. Because at the end of the day, if you're only valuable to people when you're giving them something, then you're not family. You're just a resource. And I finally learned the most important lesson of my life. I'm nobody's damn resource. I never will be again. Story 2. His cheating fiancé screwed a DJ is the title of this tale. Our wedding is one day away. I thus abandoned her at the altar and departed with her sexy bridesmaid. Okay, folks. This is going to be a lengthy one throwaway account for obvious reasons. I'm a 32-year-old man. I never imagined that I would be among the men who write on Reddit about romantic drama, but my life has been nothing short of a vengeance movie over the past several months. Before I start talking about the complete mess that was my wedding day, or I suppose my almost wedding day, I'll tell you the history. Val and I had been dating for 3 years. At my friend Mike's house party, I got to know her. One of those, you must come, dude. You'll typically wind up standing in the corner sipping beer and looking at your phone during these epic style events. However, things were different this time. Val was this absolute smoke show. Pharmaceutical representative, I understand how that may seem, but I'm being straightforward here. Good score of 9 out of 10. Depending on the source, it may even be a 10. A great physique with long dark hair. She did CrossFit, yes. How did you guess? I was out of my league, and this smile actually made other males walk into walls, if I'm telling the truth. On a good day, I'm around a solid 6, and if I'm dressed well and the lighting is nice, I may even be 7. I still recall the first time I saw her. Mike and she were fighting over a television program. It was becoming really awful. I suppose my first warning sign should have been that she was Team Walter White all the way through, and I just kind of stepped into the discussion. Before I know it, we've been discussing everything from drugs and sports to whether or not pineapple belongs on pizza for 3 hours. I'm not fought by it. At the end of the night, I got her number. The following weekend, I took her out, and that was about it. Sometimes you simply click with someone, don't you? Like, everything is so simple, correct? Yes, we were like that. That's what I believed, anyhow. After 3 years, I felt that our relationship was doing pretty darn well. After a year, we moved in together. Got a downtown apartment that was just beyond of our price range. Before everything went to wrong, I adopted this jerk of a cat named Zeus, who detested everyone but herself, and began constructing what I believed would be our life together. I gave it my all. I took care of the small things. Flowers at random, just for fun. Unexpected. Coffee is delivered to her workplace, and adorable messages are left about the flat. Every unique event, you wager, I really went all out. Anniversaries and birthdays. The stupid tiny monthly ones, too. I made sure she felt loved at the beginning. She enjoyed upscale items. And while I may have complained about it, I still managed to make it happen. Because when you love someone, you do that. I believed that I was creating memories, creating something tangible, and establishing the groundwork for our future. I proposed last year at this fancy rooftop restaurant, spent around 3 months worth of pay on the ring. Yes, I am aware of it. But I wanted to please her because she had high-end tastes. Yes, she answered, crying. Uploaded almost 50 photos on Instagram. The normal things, you know. She said in her post that she had met her true love and was eager to spend the rest of her life with them. Well, that matured like milk in a hot vehicle. There was a lot of planning involved in the wedding. I won't lie. Val want perfection in everything. And I mean it when I say perfect. We're talking about more than 200 people. Fancy venue at this historic hotel downtown. Dinner served in 5 courses. Open bar on the top tier. The process. The expense was greatly assisted by her parents. Even while we are grateful for it today, it was still making a significant impact on our savings. But I didn't mind. All I felt was joy. She was content. Do you know? I mean, having a cookout after being married at the courthouse would have been awesome. However, I wanted to give her the wedding of her dreams. In addition, I can see how thrilled she is about cake sampling, floral arrangements, and whatever the fuck a charger plate is. It was adorable. After work, she would spend hours on Pinterest, showcasing all of these ideas and getting excited about each and every detail. Everything was moving too easily. Now looking back, it should have been obvious to me that something would go wrong. The strange thing is that I still can't really say when I first started to feel strange. It was like, have you ever had the feeling that something is off but you're not quite sure what it is? like when you forget to turn off the stove before leaving for work. However, multiply that by a factor of 100. About a month prior to the wedding, I began to notice small details. At first, nothing significant. She was staying out later than usual and going out more with her friends, using her phone in an odd way. Every Reddit post about cheating is the same old shit. That stuff is ignored when you're in it, planning a fucking wedding and getting ready to start a life with someone. You justify yourself. All she's worried about is the wedding. She needs to release her tension. Man, I'm being paranoid. I was a complete fool. About 10 days before to the wedding, Val informs me that she would be attending this girl's night at Warehouse 13. If you're not from the area, Warehouse 13 is this enormous repurposed industrial building where these enormous parties are held. Like the kind of place you enter at 11 o'clock at night. Subsequently, it is 6 a.m. and you've lost a shoe type thing. At first, I didn't give it much thought. Val had been worried out about the wedding, or so I thought, and her friends wanted to do this kind of pre-bachelorette party thing since her actual bachelorette was going to be pretty tame wine tasting with her mom and aunts there. You know how it goes. Plus, her best friend Megan was supposedly the one organizing it, and Megan's usually pretty responsible. Usually Val gets all suited up for this stuff. And when I say dressed up, I mean like festival wear type things, tiny crop top, those glittery high-waisted shorts that practically display your whole ass glitter everywhere. I remember joking like, dang, trying to find husband Hubbard too already, and she felt sort of strange about it but played it off. It should have been a warning sign, but I was still acting like a fool and still trusted my fiancé. She leaves at about 9 o'clock, with Megan and a couple other gals text me at midnight saying everything's wonderful. She is enjoying herself and misses me. All of that romantic nonsense. Then, until around 6:30 a.m., there was radio quiet. They said they lost track of time when she stumbled into the room. Her phone died. The typical justifications. I saw that part of her glitter makeup was smudged, but I suppose that's normal for a rave. False. So fucking incorrect. Fast forward to a week before the wedding. At work, I'm making an effort to concentrate on this project's due date, despite the fact that everything related to the wedding has left my head absolutely burned out. My phone is buzzing. Chris is my boy. Chris doesn't usually call during business hours unless there's a problem. I thus realized that this would not work well. He begins, and I can tell by the tone of his voice that I'm going to hear something that I'd rather not hear. Listen, guy, that night my cousin DJ was at Warehouse 13, and I didn't know how to tell you that. My fucking stomach fell. A DJ is a person who essentially observes everything, knows everyone, and lives in the rave environment. He reportedly witnessed a lot. DJ claims that Val wasn't only dancing with the females. This guy was the object of her attention. There's a DJ named Voltage or something like that. Who the hell calls themselves Voltage, really? Not like regular dancing either. We are conversing, working, and figuring everything out. However, things improve. Even worse. Around 3 in the morning, the DJ noticed them vanish inside the DJ booth area. About 45 minutes later, they emerged. This electric jerk was looking so proud of himself while Val was mending her shorts. Very subtle. Correct? I'm sitting at my office, trying not to punch a wall or throw up, or both. All I can hear is this ringing in my ears while Chris continues to speak. Do you know how it feels when everything in your universe suddenly changes? As if all you believed to be true were lies? Yes, that. There's more, though. Chris had previously done some research since he is the true MVP buddy that he is. Turns out this wasn't the first time Val had been to one of Voltage's. Demonstrates that he discovered images on Instagram from a few months ago. Val in the throng. In sum, it's always right up front. I had never seen her wearing a glow-in-the-dark necklace before. Apparently, it's like a VIP thing that gets you access the DJ section. I was in a fog for the remainder of that day, simply browsing Facebook and Instagram like a maniacal investigator. More photos from that evening were discovered. In the backdrop of other people's narratives is Val. Getting to know this person really well. He is just what you would expect. Tall, tatted up, man bun wearing douche who probably thinks pressing play on a MacBook makes him a musician. The worst part in every pic, she wears her engagement ring in every video. The one she said was ideal, the one I had been saving for months, the one she had always dreamt about. I did not immediately confront her. Something in me suddenly exploded. We could play games if she wanted to, so I started making plans rather than losing it or confronting her. And I went into full detective mode because I was going to turn pro. Let me tell you, that shit hits you like a truck when you start genuinely looking for red flags rather than ignoring them. First thing I did was check our joint credit card statements. Yes, we had a combined wedding expenditure account. Another excellent choice. Found many charges from clubs and bars on nights. She was apparently wedding planning with her buddies. Like, unless David's nuptials relocation to a nightclub, something wasn't adding up. This is when Jessica enters the picture. Brief history. Although they weren't very close, Jessica was one of Val's bridesmaids. Val just asked her because it would have been embarrassing not to, and they worked together. I had always thought Jessica was a smoke show redhead, but I was faithful, unlike other people, so I didn't take any action. I decided to reach out to Jessica because she always looked clueless, less caught up in Val's BBs than the other bridesmaids. Additionally, she had been behaving strangely throughout the previous wedding celebrations, as if she knew something but was unable to express it. I texted her, asking if she had a moment to chat. Val is the subject, she said. It turns out that Jessica had sensed something was wrong for weeks before they finally found it out. She was talking to this attractive DJ, about whom Val had been boasting, showing her their trash and direct messages. But the point is, Val told Jessica that we had an arrangement and that I was fine with her having fun before the wedding. Please pardon me. What? Yes, my charming fiancé has been claiming to be upfront with everyone about our relationship. It's new to me. Jessica claims that in order to defend her hookup with Voltage, Val had been spreading this falsehood to a number of individuals. Also shown some of Jessica's texts in which she mentioned meeting up with him following their honeymoon. The fucking boldness. Jessica, however, had screenshots. Many screenshots. Val and Voltage have been texting one another for months. She informed me she was at a pharmaceutical conference in Vegas in March, so it seems they met at another party. Since then, they had been dating intermittently, but as the wedding drew nearer, their relationship became increasingly serious. A few of their texts highlights, "You will cringe at this shit, I warn you. Val is really excited to meet you this evening. Reserve a place for me in the booth. Voltage, have a special gift for you, sweetie. Val, better than the last time. Voltage, you are aware of it. Don't forget to bring your glittery attire. And my particular fave, Val. Before I have to be a decent wife, I'm kind of eager to be a naughty girl, haha. For 3 years of my life, I longed to vomit. $15,000 ring. This is her true opinion of our relationship, based on all of the plans we made. After enjoying herself, she had a dull duty to complete. Jessica was angry too. Evidently, Val had been ridiculing me in front of her other pals, referring to me as trustworthy and secure as if I were a fucking Honda Civic or something. Said she was settling down with me since I had a nice career and would be a good dad. With DJ stuff, she's out there having the time of her life at festivals. I began conspiring with Jessica at that point. I was done being the trustworthy fallback, and she was done with Val's two-faced lads. We went through all the evidence and made plans on how to address this for about 3 hours in this coffee shop. In fact, Jessica was the one who suggested that if she wanted a venue for her drama, she should wait until the wedding. She said, "Let's give her one she'll never forget." We made the decision to prepare everything. We received screenshots, pictures, and even a few videos from the event. It wouldn't be difficult to set up a lovely little presentation because Jessica had a buddy who handled AV at the venue. What was the highlight of this planning session, though? Watching Jessica become all heated up about exposing Val. It seemed to me that she had been anticipating this. She was talking about what a horrible person Val was at one point. Something connected between us as her eyes sparkled and her cheeks flushed. We both sensed it, that strain, the chemistry. However, we took no action. The days that followed were difficult. It felt like being in some kind of weird farce to seem regular around Val, while knowing all this garbage. She's there discussing our future, pointing out table settings, and inquiring about our honeymoon plans. Meanwhile, I'm sitting there thinking about how I'm going to blow her whole world apart. The most challenging aspect? In fact, she appeared to be looking forward to the wedding. As in, truly joyful. I would occasionally catch myself on the verge of feeling guilty about our plans. Then I'd recall those texts, that dazzling dress, and DJ douchebag arrogant face, and any guilt would simply vanish. Additionally, Jessica would send me another screenshot or mention something else Val had said behind my back whenever I began to doubt myself. Finding out that your fiancé deemed you dull in bed to her coworkers is the best way to stop compassion. 3 days remained till the wedding. And believe me when I say that it's difficult to pretend to be normal when planning someone's public humiliation. Val was rushing around, anxious about last-minute preparations, including clothing fittings, vendor calls, and other things. In the meantime, I'm working on what we started referring to as Operation Festival Fallout in covert meetings with Jessica and her AV friend Kyle. By the way, a quick shout out to Kyle. When Jessica told him what was happening, this guy was a living legend. He didn't merely consent to assist. He went all in. It became out that he had also been cheated on before. He therefore lived for this scheme of retaliation. He also knew exactly how to set everything up without appearing suspicious because he worked at the venue. It was a rather straightforward strategy. I would make a special toast to my new bride throughout the reception. Kyle would have screenshots, pictures, and even some videos that people had sent us from the rave, queued up on the large screens at the venue. However, time was crucial. We needed to wait until all the important photos were done. The photographer was not someone I wanted to waste my parents' money on. And that poor guy undoubtedly spent a fortune on this wedding, following her dad's speech. This is where Jessica's situation started to get interesting. We were planning and spending a lot of time together. I won't lie either. The intensity of the chemistry was growing. She was sitting so close to me that I could almost smell her perfume one evening while we were at my house going over the data on my laptop. It was also far superior to the cotton candy body spray Val usually wore, I must say. You know what would really drive her crazy if you kissed me right after exposing her? Like right there in front of everyone, Jessica added, looking up at me. I won't lie, but I chuckled at her audacity. For a moment, my brain went into short circuit. Jessica was so hot. Green eyes and tall red hair, the type of female that naturally looks good. In contrast to Val, who looked at me while preparing to go to the grocery shop for 2 hours. But I played it cool. You sure you want to get engaged like that? You may also be judged by others. Trust me, I've been wanting to do this for months, she said with a sly smile. She treats you like a backup plan by talking about you to everyone. You're worthy of better. Then she put her hand on my leg and, holy crap, the stress was unbelievable. However, we took no action. Not quite yet. We were both aware that we had to wait, make the retaliation even more delicious. The following several days were a haze of covert planning and wedding preparation. Val's incessant chatter about how wonderful everything would be and how we will be the greatest pair ever, among other things, was becoming more tiresome. She continues to text DJ douchebag in the meantime. In their group conversation, Jessica gave me screenshots of Val boasting that she will attempt to get together with him after the honeymoon. We had the rehearsal dinner the evening before the wedding. I nearly felt horrible after hearing Val's father's moving statement about embracing me into the family. Then, after dinner, I recalled all the screenshots of Val calling me safe and boring while slinking out to the restroom for the 10th time that evening. To ensure everything was in order, Jessica and I met with Kyle one last time. The slideshow was ready. The sound quality was flawless. Yeah, we had audio. The timing was meticulously arranged, and Val had left some really damning voicemails for Voltage. Jessica then revealed even another shocking revelation. She remarked nonchalantly, I got a room at the hotel for tomorrow night. You know, in case you need somewhere to go after everything. The way she said it, looking up at me through her eyelids, yes, she wasn't only providing a place to stay. And what do you know? I didn't even feel bad about the thoughts running through my mind after everything Val had done. Val was unconscious in our bed when I got home that evening, most likely after the rehearsal supper. There on the nightstand was her phone. Notifications are still being received. Voltage's name appeared. After the honeymoon, I can't wait to see you, sweetie. That was the time. Any last questions? I had simply disappeared. Tomorrow wasn't only going to be the end of my romance with Val. This would be the start of something new. A better one. That night, I slept on the couch, in part because I couldn't bear to be near her, but mostly because I was too excited about what was going to happen. Jessica started emailing me jokes about retribution and karma, and we remained up late organizing the final arrangements. "Tomorrow is going to be epic," was the final text I received from her that evening. "I hope you're prepared to play the lead in the most amazing wedding drama ever." She didn't realize how correct she was, man. The wedding morning felt unreal. F woke up on my couch, couldn't sleep close to Val after everything, and I momentarily lost track of the day. After that, my phone began to overflow with texts. "Val is sending me. Adorable. Can't wait to be your wife. I provide updates on Operation Festival Fallout to Jessica and my groomsmen via text. Arrived early at the location to check on Kyle. The man had surpassed himself. The wedding slideshow is set up on 3 enormous screens. The audio setup is flawless. Everything is prepared for use." As the last tech check was being performed, Jessica sneaked in wearing her bridesmaid dress and looked amazing. And let me tell you, Jessica looked stunning in her outfit, even though Val was the bride. "You ready for this?" With a look that made my heart skip a beat, she asked. Additional screenshots from that morning were brought by her. Val was still texting Voltage, talking about meeting up after the honeymoon. This girl's fucking audacity. The ceremony was weird. Standing there in my tux, watching Val walk down the aisle with this fake, innocent look on her face. Her father looked proud as she sobbed. "Poor guy. Spent $50,000 on this garbage show, and our entire family and circle of friends observing. As if it were a moment of beauty. Val's promises were an entirely new level of nonsense. All this nonsense about eternal love and loyalty, and how, until she met me, she had no real understanding of what love was. As I stand there, I'm thinking about the screenshots where she calls me safe and boring. Jessica was attempting to contain her laughter while seated in the front row. We got through the ceremony. "I do," I said. For what was going to happen next, it had to be made legal. Took every picture. I went to the reception because I wanted to give my parents the best value for their money. From the photographer. This is when stuff gets good. Everything was perfect. Val was in full bridal mode, showing off her ring, dancing with her parents, portraying the perfect wife. Speeches were then scheduled. Her dad went first, talking about what a great couple we were, how happy he was to welcome me to the family. Val's sister spoke passionately about real love. It was then my time. I stood up, picked up the microphone, and looked at Jessica. She gave me a slight nod. "I want to raise a glass," I murmured, watching Val grin at me from our love table. A picture is worth 1,000 words, you know. I decided to share some images that truly capture Val's personality, rather than giving a lengthy speech. Kyle struck the lights. The screens became animated. First image, Val is grinding on volts in the DJ booth, hardly dressed. Second photo, their wording. Conversations about meeting up. Third image, footage from the rave that shows them vanishing into the rear chamber. The room fell silent. Val's expression turned from surprise to fear in roughly 2 seconds flat. Her mom gasped so loud I thought she was going to pass out. There's more. Now that I was really into it, I went on. Let's hear what the bride genuinely feels about her new spouse. Kyle played Val's inebriated voicemail to Voltage, in which she claimed that she was only content with me because I was uninteresting and modest, but that he was her true passion. Val sprang to his feet and said, "Switch it off." However, Kyle, who was a true legend, simply turned the volume up. "What's wrong, babe?" I asked into the mic. "I thought you wanted an audience for your festival life. You told Voltage that, right?" Now her father stood with a flaming face. Her mother was in tears. The majority of the attendees were either covering their mouths in shock or filming on their phones. Val ran up to me and sobbed, trying to hide the fact that it wasn't what it appeared to be. "We can discuss this." That's when I revealed the last secret. And the part about getting together after the honeymoon? Yes, I also saw those texts. I will no longer be here to boring you, so don't worry. I passed the mic to the DJ, our DJ not Voltage, ha 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 ha. Loosened my tie and marched straight over to Jessica. She stood up, the lovely little grin on her face, and I did what I'd been dying to do for weeks. In front of everyone, I grabbed her and gave her a kiss that was, let me tell you, electrifying. It was far superior to any kiss I had ever shared with Val. The whole room exploded, partly gasping, half cheering. Val was screaming something, but honestly, with Jessica in my arms, I couldn't hear anything else. We walked out together hand in hand. leaving Val standing there in her $7,000 dress, with her ruined makeup and her ruined reputation. Later, I heard that she attempted to accuse me of lying, but Kyle had already connected the screens to the video system at the venue. Everything was recorded, including her outburst. As we left the reception area, with the sounds of mayhem echoing behind us, Jessica turned to face me. "Do you want to provide them a genuine topic of conversation? Remember the hotel room she'd booked?" Yes, we used it effectively. But first we had to pass through the lobby, which was unusual. Imagine this. My tux and I, bow tie undone, Jessica in her bridesmaid dress, both of us practically running to the elevator while wedding guests were still arriving for the reception. The glances we received were invaluable. The finest aspect? We ran into Voltage in the lobby. No joke. This clown actually showed up at the hotel, probably thinking he was going to be Val's little side piece after the reception. After seeing us, he recognized me from the pictures and went completely blank. Jessica, total queen that she is, just smirked at him and said sorry. She's a bit busy having her wedding wrecked right now. My phone was exploding with hundreds of alerts when I entered the room. Val phoning and texting incessantly, her friends sending furious messages, my friends expressing congrats, strange wedding attendees who'd videotaped everything previously, publishing it on social media. But to be honest, I don't give a damn. Not going to go into too much detail trying to keep this somewhat PG-13, but let's just say Jessica had been holding back some feelings for a long time. We eventually checked our phones at 4 a.m. goddamn. At the reception, Val had lost his mind. She made an effort to persuade everyone that I was lying and that the pictures weren't real after we left. All that BS, but then some genius. Most likely. Through the venue's speaker system, Kyle began playing the audio of her voicemails. Her mom was having a complete breakdown when she attempted to scale a table to unplug the speakers in her wedding gown, causing it to tear. Her dad was at the bar doing shots. To be honest, half of the visitors and my mood seemed to be recording everything or sharing real-time updates on the family group chat. The greatest part? The memes had already begun. The twins showed up. See, what Val didn't know was that Jessica had brought these two smoking, sexy twins. We were informed by the gym that they taught yoga, so we went to the hotel bar following the welcome. We hadn't even reached that part of the plan yet. These twins are posting stories from the hotel bar, tagging me, and obviously waiting for someone while Val is having her bridezilla moment at the reception. When Jessica sees this, she has a nasty, brilliant plan. She takes a pic of us in the hotel room, just like Clearly Together, if you understand what I mean, without being explicit, and post it with the caption, "Apologies, ladies, might be a touch late to the after party." Val lost her crap, started texting Jessica, calling her every name in the book. Jessica simply takes screenshots of everything and posts them again. The twins start posting thirst trap stories like waiting for the real party to start. The internet is eating this stuff up. The story went viral in our city's social circle by morning. Val's reputation in disarray, Voltage's DJ career presumably not helped by the fact that someone, possibly Kyle, had shared photos of him intentionally hooked up with an engaged woman. Around midday on the next day, we eventually left the room, and guess who's seated in the hotel lobby? While Val's friends were walking off shaming it through the lobby, looking like raccoons with their smudged makeup, the twins were looking brand new in their yoga gear. Being the whole chaos queen that she is, Jessica recommends brunch. Imagine this then, me still in my wedding tux. Minus the jacket, Jessica in her bridesmaid dress and two hot yoga twins having mimosas on the hotel patio while wedding guests are checking out the looks we got. Priceless. Val tried to show up at the hotel, but security had already been warned. Once more, Kyle is coming in clutch. They stopped her in the lobby. She was screaming that she needed to talk to me because she was the bride, still in her ripped wedding dress, mascara all over the place. We watched from the patio as they escorted her out. It was me who said, "Fuck it, we should all go back to my place." When someone has been betrayed, who needs to be reasonable? Even though the place was still officially half Val's, one said it anyway. I could tell by the look in Jessica's eye that the revenge tour was just getting started. So after our lunch at the hotel, we all headed back to my flat. Jessica, myself, and the twins, Ashley and Amy. I was still wearing my shirt, slacks, and suit. Jessica, dressed as a bridesmaid, appeared to have experienced war, which we kind of had the entire way back, to be honest. Updates from the aftermath of the wedding started flooding my phone. It seems that Val had returned to her parents' house and was having a complete breakdown on social media, writing lengthy tirades about how Jessica was a backstabbing viper and how I had wrecked her special day. The irony of her complaining about backstabbing while she'd been sneaking off with DJ Douchebag was just perfect. We arrived to my house. Well, because Val and I have been living together, it is still legally our place, and Jessica immediately starts making herself at home. The twins are snooping about the flat in that adorable manner only attractive women can get away with it. And I'm just sitting there thinking about how bizarre this whole thing is. That's when Jessica finds Val's secret drawer in the bedroom. God damn. You guys recall all the festival stuff she'd been wearing to meet up with Voltage? It wasn't just for raves, you know. There were, like, numerous glittery clothes, these platform boots that certainly weren't for work, plus a whole bunch of other items I won't discuss since I don't want this article getting reported. The twins thought this was hilarious and decided to play dress up. Next thing I know, they're all trying on Val's festival clothes, snapping selfies, having the fun of their lives. Jessica found this super expensive bodysuit that Val had bought for the honeymoon and decided it looked better on her anyway. We hear keys in the door at that point. Val rushes in like she owns the place. I mean, technically her name was still on the lease, but come on. Presumably expected to find me alone and miserable. Instead, Jessica is wearing her honeymoon lingerie when she enters. Me on the couch, the twins dressed for a festival, just living my best life. The noise she made. I had no idea that anyone could hit that pitch. "What on earth is this?" she yells. Crying all day left the mascara still smeared. Her hair is a mess, and she is still dressed from yesterday. Looking like she'd been up all night, which she probably had. "Oh, we're just having a little fashion show," Jessica says, staring her in the eye. "Your stuff is adorable." Not very bride-like though, is it? Val lunges for Jessica, but Ashley, or maybe it was Amy, steps between them. "Honey," she adds in a really kind tone, "before you create any more drama, you might want to repair your makeup. You guys, there are already enough of videos online showing you losing it." The scream that came out of Val. She begins gathering her belongings and packing them in bags while sobbing that she never imagined. I would harm her. The irony, I swear. She then loses it when she sees the twins dressed in her rave attire. "Those are mine," she shrieks, attempting to clutch at them. We think they look like club gear, so Amy or Ashley simply spins away and asks, "Are they? Isn't that what you wore to hook up with that DJ?" Val turns to me, switching to victim mode instantly. "Please, baby." She bursts into tears. "It was a single error. This is something we can resolve. I cherish you." Jessica reveals the truth at that point. One mistake. Shall we play the other club films from last month for him? Or maybe the ones from Vegas? Jessica had a lot more dirt than she had initially admitted. Val's expression quickly changed from fake tears to fear. "You wouldn't," she murmurs. "Give me a try," Jessica says, pulling out her phone. "I retained everything. Every snapshot, every video, every inebriated confession about all your tiny exploits. Want to see them, babe?" Val actually leaves half of her belongings behind when she flees the flat. The door smashes so violently. We spent the rest of the day looking through Val's belongings. Yeah, probably not legal, but after what she did, whatever found receipts for hotel rooms, more club outfits, and get this, a diary. Let's just say Voltage wasn't the only side item. Jessica officially moved in a week later. The twins started coming often. And Val, she attempted to hook up with Voltage once more, but he had already moved on to another girl, according to what I heard last. Don't you think karma is a bitch? It's been roughly 6 months since the wedding. To be honest, it wasn't the best non-marriage choice ever. It's been an incredible life. The apartment was completely renovated. All of Val's basic live laugh, love decor was removed, and the space was actually made to look respectable. Val, she's been on a complete downward spiral, man. She attempted to save face after the wedding fiasco by posting a lengthy tirade on Instagram about how I was controlling her and that she was escaping toxicity or something. Nobody bought it, especially after Kyle, absolute legend, leaked more videos from the rave. She ended up having to turn off her comments because people continued posting DJ jokes. She attempted to reconnect with Voltage, but it seemed that he had moved on to someone else. Last I heard, She relocated to Miami to rediscover herself, aka probably find more DJs. Her dad still sends me Christmas cards though, which is hilarious. The twins are still in our lives. They come over for what we call Chaos Sundays, basically breakfast that evolves into all-day pool parties at their property. Val watches all our social media from phony profiles and just loses it every time we upload images. Sometimes we posture in ways that mimic her past thirst trap articles simply to screw with her work's been intriguing. Had to deal with some awkward conversations since Val and I were both kind of known in our industry. Jessica. She is doing well. Obtained a new position at a rival pharmaceutical business. Definitely couldn't continue working with Val and now earns more money. She also no longer has to pretend to enjoy Val's cheesy Starbucks postings. In relation to Val's former life, do you recall all of the wedding presents we received? Yes, we did keep them. Val's mother attempted to compel them to return them, but as they were addressed to both of us, half of them were actually mine. Gave Jessica's mother, who detested Val, the most of the expensive china, BTW, and used the remainder of the gift cards to equip our apartment. After Val departed, Zeus, the cat, finally quit being like a jerk. It turns out that he simply didn't like her enthusiasm. Now he's the most relaxed pet ever. Even lets the twins pet him when they come around. Animals? No, dude. And do you recall our planned honeymoon? Bali's 5-star resort. Her parents covered all of the costs. Yes, I went with Jessica. In fact, Val's father insisted, said that because he was unable to receive a return, someone ought to enjoy it. The look on the hotel staff's faces when we explained why I was there with a different woman than the one on the reservation. The highlight of it all? In fact, I'm content, as in truly joyful, principles, to constantly claim that I was predictable and uninteresting, but turns out I just needed someone who appreciated me. Ironically, Jessica and I occasionally attend raves, but we also spend time playing video games at home. We can do fancy date nights or just crush a pizza and watch movies. It's just easy. Actually, I received a text from Val last week. She was inebriated, obviously, and going off about how she made a mistake and misses what we had. I just emailed back an image of me, Jessica, and the twins at a pool party with the caption "new phone." Who is it? Maybe that was petty, but after everything she put me through, worth it. So, that concludes this bizarre tale. In Miami, Val is by himself, probably still trying to slip into DJs, DMs, voltages, or whatever aspiring DJs do. And me, living my best life with a woman who actually appreciates me, surrounded by amazing friends. And at last, without the energy of that basic bitch. Last week, Val's cousin sent me a message in an attempt to guilt trip me by saying that I've changed and that I'm not the kind person she knew. Sent her back a picture of me with 5 girls in a pool, told her she's right. That person perished at the altar. And honestly, good riddance. The new me is having considerably more fun. I would still be stuck in a marriage with someone who didn't prioritize me if Val hadn't cheated. Hey there though. Loss. I'm simply living life like a freaking rock star now. No attachments, no drama, no hassles. Life is good. Read it real good. Edit, jod damn. This went viral. Again, rip my inbox. Edit. Thanks for all the prizes, but stop contacting me DMs, asking for the twins' socials. FFS. Third edit. Yes, we're considering of making the Crazy Sundays a weekly podcast. Keep an eye out. Final edit. Videos of weddings were requested by several of you. For legal reasons, I'm still unable to share them, but believe me, they're being stored for something great. Maybe our 1 year, not a wedding anniversary celebration.